morning, dear listeners. Murielle here with another episode of Rendezvous with Murielle, the podcast to inspire you to go for your dreams and to become magnetic to people, opportunities, and love. If you don't know me, and this is the first time that you come across my podcast, I am a relationship coach and the founder of Date Like a French Woman, where I teach women who tend to attract crappy relationships to shift both on a brain level and on an energy level to become someone who can attract the love that they really want in their life. Today, I have the pleasure to interview AmandaYoung. And Amanda is my business coach currently, so I really love working with her, I must say. So Amanda is an author, an entrepreneur, a business coach, a marketing strategist, a mother of two, and an energy mastery practitioner. She is known for helping overwhelmed entrepreneurs find the clarity they need to design a business they love. She provides much needed focus and clarity to creative and intuitive business owners who have a unique talent to share with the world. So welcome, Amanda. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here too. So first, I would love if you could share your story and how you went for your dream, like from A to Z.
Yeah, I'll give you the truncated version because it can be a pretty long story. But for me, it was a big change to have kids. So my son's just turning 7 and my daughter's 9. And I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I couldn't figure out exactly how that was going to come about or what was going to happen. Like I just knew that I loved entrepreneurship and I studied it and I went to business school and I got my MBA. I was trying to figure out like, okay, how does this work? Do I become a consultant? Where does this all fit in? And then I had kids and, I didn't want somebody else raising my kids. I wanted to raise them myself. I wanted to be there for them. I wanted to be around for them, right? And it just was one of those things where I couldn't figure out how to make it all work. I was trying to have it all. And in doing all that, I figured out that I needed to get a business coach and I needed to figure out how to put it all together for myself, despite having like 2 degrees in business, right? Like I should be able to figure this out on my own. But entrepreneurship's really a lot different than that. And it's not something that people necessarily just have. Some people might just have the ability to do it and like get it, but most of it's mindset stuff.
Yes.
And just not having the clarity of where you want to go or who you want to work with or what you're doing. So in my journey, I worked with a whole bunch of coaches. I figured out how to get clear with myself as to what I wanted and who I wanted to serve and how to find them. And now that's what I do to give back to other people, is to bring them through that process of figuring out how do you figure out who you really need to work with and how do you work with them in a way that's of the best service. So that's how I am now. And then I've also learned the energy mastery component because of the coach that I work with currently. So that's being pulled into my life too.
And what I love about your coaching is that you actually are integrating all the energy tools into your coaching, along with the marketing and all the information that you teach us. And it has helped so tremendously, especially for people like me who really I'm working as a Reiki master as well. So energy is also something that I'm making sure I address.
Yeah.
What did you encounter any challenges because being a mom and building the business? What are the challenges that were in your way that you had to overcome in order to be where you are today?
Well, there's so many of them.
The major ones.
Yeah. Well, part of it, I would say like three easy ones. One of it is juggling family life with business life and figuring out how to manage your time. The second one, like I said, is mindset, really getting clear on what it is that I most want. And the third one is money fears. It's just like, how do you manage cash flow and how do you invest in yourself and your results and at the same time be able to still pay your bills and keep things going and have that energetic exchange where you're like, energy is just like breathing in and out and in and out. And I would often find myself as a mom and a entrepreneur and a wife and every other title that I had, not breathing. And then it's like, oh, well, everything just tightens up and nothing's moving. So just breathing, as simple as that sounds, is a constant thing that I work on.
Because a lot of the tools are simple, and that's why people discard them,
Yeah,
I notice. And that's a big mistake because they are really powerful.
exactly.
As far as you talked about the money, I know for us entrepreneurs, it's a big, it's an elephant in the room, like we're so scared.
Yeah.
Could you share maybe one tip about to feel more at ease with the fact that you are going to be generating your money and to let go of that fear
Yeah.
attached to it?
So one huge aha for me was when my coach looked at me and said, stop hating on your debt. Like, stop hating the idea of debt and realize, like, love up on your debt and realize that debt is a huge gift. Because if we didn't have mortgage debt, I wouldn't own the house I have. If we didn't have, a car loan, I wouldn't have the car that I drive. If we didn't have student loans, I wouldn't have an MBA or a marketing degree. Like, if we didn't have any of these things in our life, if I didn't have credit cards, I don't know how the heck I would be able to fly to California, for my coaching experience this weekend, because everything that you do is on a credit card these days. I was thinking about it yesterday, like, how do people pay cash for things anymore? Because they don't take it on the airlines. And so it's one of those things where we go through, and then it's a question of how much debt is okay. Like, as long as you're managing cash flow and you're reinvesting it. And if you think about it, if somebody's going to open a bakery or some sort of brick and mortar store, they're going to go to the bank. They're going to get a big loan. They're going to need it for payroll and staff and things like that. And as entrepreneurs, people are like, I've got to bootstrap this and I've got to do it all on my own. And it's like, you're not really, some people are going to bootstrap it, and some people are going to work a full-time job and bust their hump and save money and do it, and totally fund it themselves. And that's awesome. But there's others who aren't going to do that. And they're going to realize that debt is actually a really good thing, because it's going to get you that result faster than paying outright for everything from the get-go. So it's okay to have debt in your business. And most people have debt in their business. And most of the big companies, I would say all of the Fortune 500 companies in some way are leveraging debt in their favor.
Yes.
And that's just how businesses run, but we're not necessarily taught that. So I think that's the big nugget of money issues that really, and that rolls into this whole concept of hating on people like they're filthy rich, or, not loving up on the concept of money, the way we use our language. So much of that is so incredibly powerful as far as, we're putting up barriers that we don't even know are there.
That's true, because if you have resentment toward people who are wealthy, that's because you judge them. So inside your mind, on a subconscious level, you don't want to be them. So you're going to make sure you're not them. Yes.
Which means you're just going to keep repelling it and repelling it and repelling it.
Yes.
When you're sitting here like, bring me the money, bring me abundance, show me the money. And it's like, well, I'm not going to show you the money. Why would I? You don't like it.
That's true. And what I did for myself is to find examples of people who are wealthy, who I admire for their generosity and the good they do in the world, like Louis A. or people like this, because then you aligned with receiving and being able to get the money too.
Right.
When people come to you, I know what was my challenge at the beginning, the biggest one, but what is the most common block in the way of entrepreneurs to be able to develop their business? What do you see the most often?
Boy, I think what I see most often is it's a lack of confidence in knowing what steps to take. And I consider them to be there's this phrase that's like a chicken with its head cut off, where it's just running around. Like, when you lop off the chicken's head, the body still has all this power and will just run around like crazy, not having any direction. And I feel like that's the same type of thing that a lot of entrepreneurs do. I call it the spaghetti method of marketing, where they take and they throw everything against the wall and hope that something sticks, instead of using the formula. Like, the formula for the recipe for spaghetti is boil the water, put in the spaghetti for 10 minutes, it's going to be done. 11 if it's al dente. You know, it's this concept of there is a formula to follow. There is a guide and a strategy behind it. But I see so many entrepreneurs that are just saying, oh, I'm going to try social media, and I'm going to go on LinkedIn, and I'm going to try sending email blasts, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. I've had people come to me with radio ads and all this other stuff that they're doing. And I'm like, why? Because it's not aligned strategically with what they want. So they don't have clarity as to what steps they need to be taking. And they're running around like this chicken with its head cut off, wasting so much time and energy and money and effort. And they're not helping people. They're just not able to serve. So it's, you know, all that combined into one thing. It's the lack of clarity of what steps to take and the confidence to know that you're doing the right things and moving in the right direction.
That's funny that you talk about the spaghetti, because when I was in college, I actually, so I was in college in Israel, and in the campus, we were sharing the kitchen. There were several girls' rooms, and we were sharing a big kitchen. And I caught a girl one day who didn't know how to check if the spaghetti was cooked, and she was literally trying to stick it to the ceiling. So crazy. So that happens. I know that for myself, being an entrepreneur, you are overstimulated. You have too much information, and people think that they have to do it all. So
yes, I
had to really, and that comes from fear, because when you don't trust that you're gonna be successful, you think you have to try it all. So like you said, mindset is really a priority, because then you have to align with the fact that you're going to put your energy in one or two avenues and stick there. I see that a lot of people are not consistent, and the message I keep hearing from everybody who has successfully built their business is consistency. Oops, I lost you for a second. I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened.
Back. That's funny. I kept having technology issues this week. When you feel stuck, what is your first...
When do I feel...
Sorry? Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay. When you feel stuck, you and in your business, what is the first thing you do?
That's a great question. I do energy stuff.
I knew you would say that, and I wanted our listeners to know that, because it's not something that you hear everywhere. No,
because I've worked with a lot. I would probably say I've worked at this point with a dozen different business coaches, if not more. I've been working with coaches for at least 3 years in my business. And so what I was taught was, like there's the business mentality of go get it, do more, go. And I fell into that default category. So I kept just doing things and taking actions and just praying for them to work. And what I realized was that wasn't working for me. I was just getting burnt out. And instead of doing it that way, I decided it was going to be, I needed a different path. And I found this coach who I've been dabbling in energy work. I've learned Reiki, I've learned theta healing, I've learned bits and pieces, I've done EFT and all these other little modalities that are, not little modalities, but they're all different modalities. They all have different values and different things. And then I met this coach who has been doing energy mastery and healings for 20 years on a really powerful level. So I was called to do that training. And so now I use that in my business. And there's really simple things, just whenever I'm in a situation and I'm feeling overwhelmed, it goes back. The number one thing I would say I do is breathing, is just moving, because instead of having that constriction, just moving the energy in and out. And then I ground myself, I cut my cords, I do all these other things, all these other techniques to really just get centered and back in my body and into my heart and connected with who I am and what I really need to be doing to serve.
So are you now in your life, both in the business and in the private life, are you able to maintain a balance between receiving and giving? Because it's important to be able to have that both in the business too.
Yes, which is an interesting question, because I realized the other day that I didn't really do a lot of self-care previously. I mean, I guess maybe I'd go get a massage like once a month, but the only reason I did that was because I had a pain in my neck. And so the pain in the neck won't go away until I realize that I have to have self-care without that reminder. And so recently in the last few months, I hired a personal trainer to get my body stronger. I've worked with all different modalities of, chiropractors and health practitioners and all sorts of things to improve my gut health and improve all these other things. I've changed how I've eaten, all these other self-care things. And I've realized that it really makes a huge impact on me and how I show up in the world. So now, each morning I go through and do a morning routine as far as energetically getting myself aligned. At night, I take baths to neutralize my energy. Throughout the day, I do all that. I'm keeping my energy clean and not getting tangled up and being the observer of the situation. So there's so much that I'm doing as far as self-care. I would say it's constant now, whereas before it was.
Oops. We have, oh, I lost you
I
and you
keep
then
losing
came back
here.
again.
Yeah, it just disappeared. So
Yes.
I think I was saying something about
That you were saying that there are many things that you do on a regular basis.
yeah, so it's constant now instead of just like, hey, I've got to do self-care. It used to be like, oh, there would be a spike in, oh, today I'm going to get a massage. Now it's like every day I'm doing constant little actions that are going to just keep it steady instead of, having this roller coaster of emotions. And it's fabulous because even yesterday when I was flying here to California, I went to go schedule or to go check into my flight, and my reservation said it was canceled, and I was supposed to be at the airport in 30 minutes. And I'm sitting here going, are you kidding? Like my old reaction was, what are you kidding me? And then I was like, oh, hey, there's a lesson in this. There's something bigger going on. Let's see how I can make a miracle out of this. So I called the company and said, what's going on? The flight's still live, but I've been kicked off of it. And they're like, oh, well, let's get you right back on. They popped me back on. They sent me to the airport. Then like all these cool things happened. It was like the flight got delayed, then it got undelayed. We got a flight. We didn't get a flight. It was like all these things. We ended up sitting on the tarmac for maybe 45 minutes. But every time when I was sitting in that plane, if I did a prayer and just said, hey, divine, help me out, like just hook me up, then the plane would start moving and we'd go faster or something, and all of a sudden we took off. And as we were taking off, I'm like doing all these prayers because we had really intense winds in Chicago last night when I was flying out. And I'm sitting here, all these turbulence, and I'm sitting here like, you know what? Instead of going into panic mode, I have full faith that I am safe no matter what, which is a huge change from where I was 3 years ago, worrying about everything and on this emotional roller coaster, right? Which you see in relationships, like, oh my gosh, does he like me? Do I like him? Do I like myself?
It's instead of being taken by a current, like a wind, like a balloon, you anchor yourself and you no longer accept to go there. You're staying here. And that's true that at the beginning, you have to remind yourself constantly because our brain needs to be trained. But once you train the brain, even if you go into a human mode reaction for a certain time, your recovery time is so much shorter. You're able to come back. And I think in business, it's crucial too, because we're going to have up and downs. But if we go with the up and downs constantly, we're going to be exhausted at the end of the journey and it won't even be pleasurable anymore.
Absolutely.
And that's what I really like about coaching with you is that we don't only approach the business, we approach our life as a big picture. Because I always tell people, we need to build a vision for our life, not our business, and incorporate our business in the vision. Otherwise, you're going to be the slave of your business for the rest of your life. So I think that's a message that is not always out there in the marketing milieu. And as far as...
because a lot of people don't realize, and I didn't realize until I started working with my coach, the idea that your energy has got to be aligned before anything in your business can go well. And I've I feel like I've restarted my business several times because my energy just wasn't there. And as an entrepreneur, so many of us go back to the money story. We get into a space where we've got desperation energy, and then the business shuts down. And people are like, well, why is my business shutting down? And then it snowballs, and then the business tanks. And it's like, because your energy isn't straight. It's not aligned. And until that happens, then you're going to continue to have those.
It's the same. I'm writing an article now for a local magazine where I compare networking for business to dating, because it's really the same thing.
Yes,
when you are in desperation mode, either you're going to stay alone and not attract anybody, or you're going to attract what is going to mirror what you have inside, and that's going to be painful.
Yeah.
So, this energy work is really the first step into anything, and that was so hard for me to understand as far as business, because I'm a Capricorn, I'm a worker, so I tend to go extreme, work, and then my body is telling me, you know what, you don't want to listen to me, I'm going to shut you down. And I had that happen several times in my life. And when you're in the business, you really have to be careful, because if you start building and then you're shut down, you can't act anymore.
Absolutely.
The progress that you have achieved are going to go to the trash. So you answered some questions that I was going to ask you before I even asked you. But one of the pillars in my coaching is self-love.
Oh, absolutely.
What is your definition of self-love?
Oh my goodness. Self-love to me is about being comfortable in your own skin. I mean, I find myself constantly, even on the plane last night, I was doing energy work on myself on the plane, which means I'm waving my hands and looking kind of weird. To most other people would see that as being weird, because I'm over here like, waving my hands around. And I just listened to the voice in my head, like, oh, people are going to think you're weird. And I'm like, let them, like, go let them. I don't care what other people think. And then sure enough, I was getting off the plane, and there's like a woman sitting 2 seats over from me. And she's like, were you doing Reiki? And I was like, no, this is energy mastery. And yes, I was. I said I wasn't feeling very good on the plane. And so I just cleaned myself up, and then I was fine. And she was just like, oh, it just sparked conversation. It was so fascinating. She was all, and I was like, I'm in California. I can do this.
Yes,
right?
You can get away with
open to it.
You can get away with almost anything. And that's funny, because in business today, you have to be authentic. You have to be who you are. And here you are doing that on the plane, and people come to ask you questions. And sometimes you may even get a client or two from being yourself and not being scared of what people are going to think about you.
Right.
It's really hilarious. So how did you already touched on it, but how did self-love help you in your business? What role did it play?
Yeah, it's that immense alignment of my energy. It's like until I loved myself and was willing to care for myself and invest in my own results and invest in myself, if I wouldn't have done that, my business wouldn't be anywhere close to where it is now. And so it's been a game changer. You've got to, I think from a business standpoint, the biggest part of self-love is not doing what everyone else tells you should do, but doing what you need to be doing and following your heart. And really, I talk about that in my book. It's like my book is Finding Clarity, and it's the process for allowing clarity in your business. And so one of the steps in it is really listening to your heart and listening to what you want. Because if you don't do that, then you're going to be running a business like my dad was like, you should go climb the corporate ladder. Yeah, no, I shouldn't. I'm meant to be an entrepreneur. I am not a corporate ladder climber, like not my jam at all. And people say you could be a wedding planner. I'm like, no, I don't want to deal with Mother of the Brides and Bridezillas. And I don't really care about the attention to detail. If you got a problem and you need a fixer, I'm a fixer. But I don't want to be a wedding planner, so listening to my true north and staying to that is what serves me.
Yeah, so knowing yourself first, and then that way you can listen. Sorry.
And holding the boundaries around that too, so that you're not bending to serve everybody else.
that's a huge thing for us people who are fixing others, who are
Yeah.
helping others to fix their problems, because we have a tendency to want to help too much, and then our boundaries are very shaky.
Yeah.
So it's crucial for us. And
Yeah.
as far as energy, and you are saying to really know what you're supposed to do, I noticed that when I make a decision that aligns with self-love and self-care, and even when it was to sign up for your program, because to me, I see that self-love to really wanting to go for what I want to work in and no longer compromising. The day that I signed up, things started happening.
Yeah.
Momentum. It's really an energy. It was obvious.
It's so true. I have so many people that ask me to do a healing, and before I even start, they're like, I'm already feeling better. And I'm like, yeah, I haven't started yet. It's the intention behind things that makes my clients are investing in their results through me. I am a conduit and I can facilitate that as best I can, but they're the ones that have to invest in what they want. And then it happens, and it can happen that quickly.
You said that in the session last time that we had, and I love that image. Could you repeat that here so people could understand?
Yeah, so it's like being able to turn on a lamp on a desk. And if you turn on the lamp and it's not plugged in, you're not going to get anything. But if you plug it in, i.e., if you invest in yourself, you just plug in that lamp and it's going to turn on. Like, that's just how it works. So you've got to invest in yourself and the results that you want through whoever it is that you need to consult with, or if it's a coach or whoever it is. Invest in what you want and don't be stingy on it. Like, I have a client who was telling me the other day, he's like, I'm so cheap. And I'm like, well, if you're cheap, you're going to reflect, like you were saying, the mirror. You're going to reflect clients that are cheap. Do you want cheap clients or not? He's like, no, I don't. I'm like, then say, I invest in things that are important to me.
Yes.
That's it.
Because it's full circle. It's coming back to you.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned you have practices, daily practices for self-love. I know you take salt bath, and I've seen your big bath of salt in pictures. What is one other practice that you could share with people so it gives them an idea? Because a lot of people, when you speak about self-love, they don't exactly know what it is, where to start, and what to do. Do you have one practice that you could share with us so that people could get ideas on this?
Yeah, I would say it's a mindset practice. Whenever I hear something in my head, like the naysayer in my head, like, you're not good enough, da 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 da, I've learned to say, thank you for that. Thank you for that advice. And I'm learning to bless the negative things in my life and send love to them. Like the plane last night, the plane being delayed, I was like, bless you, bless you, bless you. May it, if it's delayed, it's delayed. There's a reason for it. There's something bigger behind it. But it's this act of having faith in all I do. And like that naysayer in my mind, if it's just a sound that's, like, you're not good enough, that client's not going to want to pay that, it's not good enough, then I, instead of fighting with that and listening to it, I just say, duly noted. I have noted your complaint. I am not going to agree with you. We're going to agree to disagree, and I'm going to keep going. So sit your butt down and let's go.
Because it really comes from the little girl in you that's afraid. Yeah. And so when you can send her love, she calms down. It's like a twin. You're going to have a tantrum, but if you hug them, you love them, they're going to calm down. And realizing that this negative part of us, this negative voice, is not here to annoy us, not here to stop us. It's here to protect us. So it just needs attention and love, and then it goes down. Because a lot of people are talking about feeling the fear and doing it anyway. The way I approach things is always subtle, soft, and gentle. So it's not about saying, no, I'm not listening. It's like, I love you. Don't worry. I'm with you.
Absolutely.
You're okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
more love, more gratitude, because gratitude is the high, is a really high frequency. Love is right below it. Like, those are, if you just go through your day and send out love and gratitude all day long, your day will be amazing, no matter what.
And forgive yourself when you don't, because sometimes we don't.
Exactly. Yeah.
So before we conclude, if there was one or two advices that you really wanted to give to people who want to go to their dream, what would it be?
Well, listen to your heart, absolutely. And then the second one would be align with who you truly are. Because when you have those things in alignment and you're managing your energy like we talked about, then anything really is possible. It's amazing the power of it.
It is.
Yeah.
And it is, this morning I put something on Instagram about being able to, for relationships, but really for anything, to befriend the unknown. Because I noticed that so many people have a set vision that is so rigid that anything that is different from that could come in front of their nose, they wouldn't see it. So leave space for the universe version that may be way better than yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to thank you, Amanda, for taking this time to be with us in your hotel room, which is really nice because you're on the fly here. And it was a pleasure. And it's also a pleasure to work with you. So for people who want to contact you, where can they find you?
They can hop over on my website at simplifyyourmarketing.com. And there's all sorts of good stuff over there. All the techniques I talk about for managing your energy, I do a training on that. That's 5 techniques to, I think it's attract more abundance into your life and clear up your energy. So that's a really awesome way to just get started with this stuff. Or I do offer clarity calls to anyone who's interested in coaching programs and that type of stuff. So they can sign up for one of those. Just simplifyyourmarketing.com, and then they put in the /clarity, and they'll get more information as far as how to sign up for that. And just reach out. If I can help somebody, they can also follow me. You're in my Entrepreneurs Finding Clarity Facebook group. So if you have any entrepreneurs that see this, they're welcome to join us over there. Just search for Entrepreneurs Finding Clarity. And we're a group of married women and men who are, just trying to make the world a better place and serve from our heart.
And there is one program, because for some people are going to be ready to go into longer programs of coaching and others not. I know I started a program about, I forgot how it's called, defining your client, you're finding clarity about your client.
Our ideal client intensive training. Yeah, we've got that. That's available on the website.
Major breakthroughs for me. It really helped me immensely. So thank you again. Awesome. And I know we're going to see each other again. And people who are building their business, go check her website because she has amazing stuff. Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah.
Have a nice stay in California. Enjoy the beautiful weather there.
Thank you for having me. It's great seeing you. As always, I'm glad to see that you're doing well, and much love to you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye. For questions or to apply for an interview, visit datelikeafrenchwoman.com.